shaking his head.
Is it me?
No. It's Mark, it's on this morning. Yes, sir. So shiver just thought. Look over my shoulder. Look over my shoulder. Was that? That's been. No, I agree with that. Good. Oh, Sherry's sitting behind the pole. I can't see her. This won't be a 4-minute meeting. No, we won't do that. What's the longest? I think the longest meeting. No, that's Ricky. Taylor. Oh, you got Taylor years ago. Okay, it is 10 o'clock and we will call to order the Houston County Commission Administrative Meeting for March 18th, 2021. Glad to see all of you here for lots of reasons. It's always good to see your smiling, well, I can't say I can see your smiling faces, but always glad to see the top of your heads. And particularly today after the weather that came through this morning. Fortunately, we didn't have a lot of damage out of this. Few trees down, I think, in the Highlands and some in Vicksburg, I think, and a little water downtown, I think. But other than that, pretty well considering some of the tornadoes that we've heard about around the state. So we're thankful for that, and thank everyone that about monitoring the weather. We've got a pretty long agenda today. Some of the older commissioners, like Commissioner Sheeb, asked if we could have an intermission in between, or bathroom break. We're going to try to get through this without taking a pause, Commissioner Sheeb. Couple of announcements. This month has 5 Mondays, so we will go 3 weeks before we have another admin meeting, and also another, obviously another commission meeting on this coming Monday. It'll be 3 weeks before we meet again. So just be aware of that. Not to come up here in 2 weeks expecting to see any of us. I know Barkley is going to talk about it, but we want to mention it as oft we can. The intersection of Taylor Road and Campbellton, I won't say Columbia Highway, Campbellton Road, Campbellton Highway will be closed beginning about 8 o'clock Monday morning. That's the 22nd, for the installation of the roundabout. Yes, we know there is a rather large park, ballpark right there. Yes, we know there are tournaments going on and ball activities, but we were at the point in this project that got delayed because of COVID and other things. I hate to keep blaming things on COVID, but the facts are the facts, and got delayed because of that. If we don't get this project done, then we run the risk of losing the money. So we have no choice. Detours will be marked, and there'll be signage to tell you where you can't go, where you need to go. We met the other day with Leisure Services. They're going, not Leisure Services, CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau. They're going to do hopefully we believe, a really good job in letting people that are coming into town for the many tournaments that we have know where they need to go. They don't need to turn right there at, I think Google now tells you to turn off the circle on 231 South and then turn right there by Dobbs Barbecue. Hopefully Google will update once people Google and Waze and all those places will update once the road is closed. People go down to Southgate and come in right there at the roundabout at Jim Oaks Park. The entrance on Taylor Road will also be open to get into the park. But we just want everyone to be aware of that, and for the local people that use that route to be planning another route. You can go South Park, you can use 231. If you're coming from the south, you can use Inez and Blackman. There are a lot of ways around it. You just got to figure out your way. And the thoughts are that the intersection may be closed for close to 6 months. So it's going to be a little bit, but just think about it like you do those orange cones out there on the circle. It's all about progress, and at the end of the day, it's going to be better. Keep a positive attitude. So just remind you about that we can get the media's help in continuing to remind everybody that that intersection will be closed starting around 8 o'clock Monday morning, and closed for an extended period of time. The other thing I wanted to make comments about that's been out in the news and that we don't have a lot of information other than numbers on is the American Rescue Plan Act. Other than I did have some money sheltered in my bank account, which I have mixed emotions about. There is a lot of money being reportedly going to be distributed to cities and counties around the nation. Not going to get into where that money is coming from, how it's going to be paid back, or any of those questions. People at a higher level than us decided that we were going to get that money. It's going to be our job to make sure we use that money in the best manner possible. We don't know yet how we are able to use that money. We are waiting for U.S. Treasury guidance that should come in the next few, I'm going to say weeks. I've heard days, but I'm going to say in the next few weeks or month or whatever. But between Houston County and the city of Dothan and all the municipalities in our county, we will get an injection of over the next, 4 years? I mean, that's to be used by 2024.
We'll get it 2 tranches.
Right.
One initially in the next 60 days, and then the second one 12 months after that. But it has to be used by December 31st, 2024.
Yeah, got to be used by 2024. There will be a injection when you count all those things I just mentioned, right at $36 million in Houston County. That's a huge injection of capital once we get all of it put in place. We certainly have some things that if the preliminary discussion is that we've heard is what it for is anywhere near accurate. There's some things that we have in mind. Once we get the guidance, the commission is going to sit down and we will, this is a once in a lifetime thing. We want to be very careful about what we do with it. And we'll sit down and have some lengthy discussions about priorities and how and what, once we know what it can be. But Houston County is, we're getting $20.5 million. City of Dothan getting $12.5 million. And then all the towns are getting different amounts based on their size. So it is a significant program. I don't know how engineers and contractors and all those kind of folks are going to be able to handle all this, but that's not my square to worry about. It's my square to give them something do. So, our square. So I say all that to tell you that we're aware of it. Our association is putting together a plan to assist counties with the monumental task of submitting and knowing what things are accurate. Should we decide to use that, they're willing to do all of that for us, and for a fee for all counties, because frankly, a lot of counties just can't handle this, the enormity of this. But once we know more, we will all sit down and throw some things out there and see what sticks and decide where we want to go. I know y'all have all heard about it. I just wanted you to know that we were on top of it, and we had department heads calling and saying, well, can we use that money for this and use that money for that? And no commitments at this point. So anyway, just wanted everybody to be aware of that. All right, any other announcements from commissioners? Okay, hearing none, then we will try to get through this without an intermission. All right, the first thing on the agenda is discussion that we talked about, I guess 2 months ago, and that is concerning our revised meeting policies. That's both two things, really. One, I wanted to bring up the policies that we approved back in December. Once again, that if we change our meeting policies, we go into place in our meeting procedures, we go into effect in April. If you all remember, in December, we changed our rules and regulations, but did not implement them until our meeting went back to some semblance of normalcy, because we haven't been letting the public in unless they had something on the agenda. The things we changed didn't really have any impact on our procedure. So since we're going to talk about, and unless this discussion goes south in a bad way, the plan would be, starting with the April admin meeting, to allow, as you heard the governor, she is doing away with them, supposedly doing away with the mask ordinance as of the 11th or 12th, whatever it is. So the plan would be to allow the public that wants to come and address the commission back, starting with our next admin meeting, with masks, with social, maybe not quite as bad as we got here, but with social distancing, pending the next item on the agenda, with temperature checking and everything, but allow them in essence, to address the commission through the same procedure as we used to have. In doing that, the procedures that we want to talk about and get out in the public and make the public aware of that we adopted in December, I thought it would be appropriate today to talk about, to remind the public, if you will, of what our new procedures are. Did any of that make any sense, or did I ramble too bad there? So I guess the first question before we talk about what we adopted is, are all of you okay with us going back to opening our meetings? Actually, I said with masking, but masking is optional based on the next item because the governor has said it's optional, but with distancing and new procedures in place, starting with our next admin meeting.
So not obviously this next business meeting, but the next administrative meeting we would have.
Basically starting in April. Anybody got any objection to us doing that? Because this is not a voting item, this is just a procedural item, and I just, sure nobody has All right, so if we're going to do that, then our new policies will go into place. There are two changes we made. One of them is really an internal thing, setting our agenda, so it really doesn't impact the public too much. But the item that we do need to, again, mention today and make sure the public is aware of, and if you all will allow me, I just want to read it, and then we can comment on it if we want, that we would like media, we'll put it on the web, on our Facebook page and all that. We want people to be aware that we're changing the way privileges of the floor, if you will, are handled. And we're doing that to gain some control and some so we don't have so much repetitiveness that we have had in the past. In essence, we're going to the same procedure I think the city of Dothan has had for years. And here's the way it reads. Privileges of the floor. Let me back up. Privileges of the floor are what we are now calling the comments that we allow at the end of the admin meeting, where we say anyone here wants to address the commission. The public is allowed to come up, and I think they have 5 minutes of it. It says 5 minutes to address the commission on any item related to the county that is germane to the county, and they address the commission, not any particular commissioner, not anyone in the audience. They address the commission. And so we're calling that now privileges of the floor. And it says, any citizen, group, elected official, or other individual wishing to be heard by the commission on items of a general nature shall submit a written request using the form provided by the commission to the administrative assistant by noon on Wednesday prior to a regular meeting date of the commission. The individual wishing to address the commission shall provide the individual's name, whether or not the individual represents or is speaking on behalf of a group, including identifying the group by name and address, the individual's address, and the topic the individual wishes to speak about before the commission. An individual representing any group shall identify the group at the beginning of the individual's presentation. A group may only have one individual address the commission relating to any one item. The chairman or acting chairman, if the chairman is unavailable, may use his or her discretion in allowing the privileges of the floor to be used by any individual or a group, including disallowing the use of the privileges for addressing the same or similar topics repeatedly. Individuals so approved shall be afforded the use of the privileges of the floor during the administrative meeting of the commission. The administrative meeting is held for the purpose of establishing the official meeting agenda. There will be no debate and no action by the county commission during this portion of the administrative meeting agenda. In essence, everybody still has the ability to come and address the commission and express their views. We just want them to let us know they're coming. So if something gets reported, if it's about an issue that is not germane to the county, then we can stop it before it gets here, or have some discussion prior to the meeting to make sure it is germane to the county. These new regs are on, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, will be on our website. The form that you fill out, Jackie will have available, and it all will also be on the website, correct? Okay. If you need the form emailed to you, I'm sure Miss Jackie can do that. So we're not trying to keep anyone from addressing us. We just need to have a little, it be done in a controlled manner. Questions or comments? This says discussion, so this is a discussion.
Thank you, Chairman. That was my concern here with the by noon on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That individual that has some, they want to bring to the commission on administrative meeting morning, we can have access to the website, can email that form. They don't have to come in and sign that form.
No, they can get it electronically.
That's good. Well, that's my question.
Now, I say that, I haven't gone there and looked, but we will make sure that we get it.
Well, it didn't state in the policy here that, you know, they could just
Yeah,
sit
but-
by noon on Wednesday.
But it says you submit a written request using the form provided by the commission. I think that's pretty general. It just means it's provided. We'll just be sure everybody knows that it's provided either on our website or you call the office or.
Right.
Any other discussion or questions about that? Bear in mind, we adopted this in December, so these are currently our regulations. This is on here just to remind everybody what they are, not to change them.
I have a couple of questions, not Chairman. So the first one is, when we allow privileges enforced, we have someone speaking to us. I know we've had this in the past, somewhat recently, where someone sort of becomes out there while they're taking advantage of those privileges. Call to order or the time, you know, how would that be handled?
We will handle that as we have in the past. We have, if they either start addressing individuals, or they get out of order, or they don't. If they become disorderly, I think that's addressed elsewhere in this rules of procedure about decorum or something like that. Then we'll ask them to sit down, and we have had happen in the past. If they continue to do that over time, we will prohibit them from addressing the commission.
The other question, this is not really a comment about the rules that we're talking about, but just an observation. And maybe it's just a personal nuance, but the interjections from the audience, sometimes have a problem. I would hope that people would be respectful to the county citizens representatives.
I would agree with that. And that falls upon the chairman. We'll see if we can get the chairman to do a better job. Any other comments or discussion? All right, we will do our best to get the word out about that. You know, we may, there's some discretion of the chairman, and, you know, the first meeting, we may not throw everybody out because you talk, you know, we want to be fair about this, but it will be implemented as of April, and we will be back, assuming we adopt the next item, we'll be back letting, you know, people come to our meeting that want to come as a commission, with the caveat, unless the governor does something that we don't anticipate, you know, I'm assuming she will have another press conference between now and April, whatever I'm meeting tonight. Unless she does something to change that, at what point we would obviously adhere to the orders that for that. Okay, thank y'all. Okay, item number 2, and by the way, on Monday, item number 1 won't be there, so everything will move up 1 number. Jackie. Item number 2 is a request to concur in amended administrative building policies. The personnel director is going to come and talk to us about that. As you know, we've had to change some accessibility and operational ability, is that a word? During COVID, since the mask order is theoretically going away, we felt it important to, and plus the policy we were operating under had just some inaccuracies in the time and whatnot. We felt it important to let personnel and the employees that have been working on this diligently over time revise the policy, and then let us review it and publicly concur so the general public would know about it. So that's what you were being asked to do today. This has been a lot of changes, but I think the changes are important. So, Sherry, you want to talk?
Back in May of 2020, when we first began planning our reopening procedures and what we were going to do to try to open back up to the public, that's when several of our department heads got together, and elected officials as well, got together and discussed what are the things we need to do to keep our employees and the citizens safe. How do we handle the administration building, entrance, transact business, and those type of things. So that's where the press release came from May 21 of 2020. So basically, here we are, March 22nd of 2021. And with the anticipated changes with the mask order, that has been reflected in this new policy as well. While it's not going to be required, we're still going to continue to strongly encourage facial coverings. The second important thing to note is we absolutely, and back in March, limited anyone to come into the building except only the person that was going to transact the business. In May of 2021, we've opened that up a little bit with they're able to bring infant children into the building as well. We still encourage the citizens to use all the avenues available to them, online, mail, and the drop box in front of the building by their big red flag. All of those things. We had very little, if any, interruption of any services during the entire year. Everything has worked well. We want to continue to do that as much as possible. So those are the changes that we're proposing now.
Yeah, a couple of comments, and I'll open it up for any questions you all have, but the discussion, some of the discussion I heard, and I think the judge came up and talked to me, we talked at one point about opening it up to anybody, and he had extreme, he said if we were gonna do that, he was gonna pull up all of his social distancing stuff down there. We don't want that because he could not monitor that. So that's what we got back to the issue and some of that. And the staff down there has been extremely good. If somebody comes up and just has an issue that they can't come into the building, they have been really, really good about bringing services out to the car. I mean, we're not doing drive-through or anything, but they've been really good about working with people that had reasons they could not come into the building. So I think that has worked well. Most of the issues have been with smaller children about coming in, so I think this will address that. The masking you mentioned, we're going to leave up all the panels and all that downstairs to protect our employees and the public. But we do understand the governor's order. We're going to continue to encourage masking, but just not force it. We're going to continue to monitor temperatures for some period of time. Again, we'll see what her order in April says and does, but we don't want to just jump out of the frying pan into the fire. We want to slowly step into the fire. So that's kind of where this goes and what the discussion I heard was. So you all that have worked on this have put a lot of real world thought into this, as opposed to I think all of us just see it from a 60,000 foot level and don't necessarily think about all the day-to-day operations that y'all do. So I think this addresses most of it and fixes the time frame. I think the last one said we were closing at 3 or something.
Yeah, we just gradually started tacking on more and more hours until we could get up and running. I guess that by June, maybe the middle of June, we were back to full hours.
We just didn't change the policy, so.
Or send out a new release.
This fixes that. So anyway, I think this helps move everybody in the right direction. Questions or comments from anyone?
Comments. I say I appreciate you and your staff and really all county staff and elected officials that's working on this. I mean, this is certainly been something that we've never had to deal with before, and hopefully never will. And so a lot of aspects, and not just us, but a lot of people throughout business and government, really kind of making it up as we go along. And you know, anytime you do that, you make some mistakes, but I don't think you make that many. So I think we've done a pretty good job. The only complaint that I've received, which have been a few, would be mainly from mothers having young children, you know, trying to come in and transact business. And so I hope we'll be as accommodating to people like that as possible, like the chairman said, going out and trying to solve their issues outside of the building. We're not going to allow them in. So I've not gotten any calls recently. So I think we've been doing probably a better job of that. And I will continue to do that. Thank you again for your leadership, for your service.
Any other questions? I will just say, I mean, we're not going 100% back to normal, but I'd be remiss anytime we talk about this if we don't, two things, if we don't commend all of our staff, the deputies down front, the probate, revenue, and Sherry, for goodness sake, y'all need help. Not just for COVID, but other things going on. For Sherry, I won't get into that. Exemplary for sure. For everybody has really done a great job. And the other thing is, we want to continue to ask the public to be cautious. I mean, don't just think, well, we're all getting vaccines, let's throw our masks away and gather in hundreds. You know, we need to
Can't be reckless.
Yeah, we can't be reckless. That's correct. We need to continue to monitor this. There are still sick people out there. There are a lot of people that have not gotten the vaccine yet. So let's just be smart. Continue to be smart. Thank you, Sherry. Any objection to adding this item to the agenda? Okay. Thank you. Item number 3 is a request to reappoint Velma Tribune to the Dothan-Houston County Intellectual Disabilities Board. In case you all didn't know that, it's Vaughn Bloomberg. Well, we now know they're over. Covert, I believe, works on that board. Any objections to adding that to the agenda? Item number 4 is a request to adopt a resolution applying for CARES Act CDBG COVID-19 grant. Emily is coming to the podium. Talk to us about that. This is really a 2-part. Number 4 and 5 both relate to this, and you can just address both if you want to while you're there.
Okay. Good morning. This is, and like the chairman said earlier, I know y'all have had so many different programs that have been thrown at you with the COVID money. This program is a program that came to the counties through ADECA, which is our normal block grant program that they do the infrastructure grants normally for our counties and cities. When ADECA received this money through the CARES Act, they allocated based on population numbers a certain amount of money per county. Now, this is not a competitive grant application in that you've got the money is allocated, but it is an application in that we have to tell them how you want to spend the money and they have to approve that process. Obviously, all of this has to do with COVID. It has to be for ways to prevent COVID, to deal with COVID, resources and things like that. So we have had, and another component of this also is that the money comes to the county, but 2/3 of the municipalities within the county have to agree how the monies are going to be spent, including the county, but you still have to have 2/3 approval. So we began this process by meeting with the mayors, having several meetings throughout with all the with the mayors. Mr. Peter was there. We had Chris Judah was there. We just had a lot of people that have been involved. So
Including the mayor of Dothan.
including the mayor of Dothan, absolutely. And they get their own money, but he has been very active in participating with this program as well, aside from the money that the city of Dothan's getting. But lots of conversations, and these are the two. The resolution you're passing basically is just stating, hey, we're going to apply for this money. We want this money. We're going to spend this money. But the ways that we have discussed spending and that the county has decided, the mayors, and the commission chairman also participated. One is to purchase a mobile unit, for lack of a better word, kind of like Life South blood unit, something like that, that is actually going to go around throughout the communities in the county that maybe for testing, maybe for vaccines, maybe in the future, it could be something that could be flu shots, it could be health fairs, maybe at senior centers. We don't know exactly how it's going to look, but it's going to serve that purpose for medical purposes. Yes, COVID-19, but hopefully in the future, it can provide other services, because we know this may go away, may not go away, but we have flu vaccines that are always will be doing, obviously probably COVID vaccine. So we see this being something that the county can do in the future. It is partnering with the health department. The county is only purchasing the mobile unit through the grant. The health department will staff the unit. They will have their nurses, they will have drivers, they will actually staff the unit. The county will be responsible for maintenance, but like I said, other than that, it will fall to the health department. Chairman Culver, anything that I'm
We
missing
will be
from talking
responsible
about?
for maintenance of the motor and the vehicle. The health department's gonna maintain, but it's almost like two medical rooms on the back
That's
of the vehicle. And they're gonna be responsible for handling all that, because obviously cleaning a medical facility is not what we do.
That's right. They'll do the sterilization,
Yeah.
they'll do everything.
What we heard in the discussion was, you have to come to Dothan to get your vaccine. And Peter, you were there, you correct me if I'm wrong. And so we felt it important to try to figure out a way that we could get vaccines out to senior centers or other facilities out in the county, out to the Ashford and Rehoboth Center. And this vehicle will allow that, not only that, but even to like housing projects within Dothan. It'll just, once we can have the ability to get the vaccines, it'll allow us to take the vaccines to the public in line, instead of people that don't really have access in Madrid trying to figure out how to get to the medical center. And then, as Emily said, as we go forward, we can also do a significant amount of testing. It can do other kinds of medical. Everybody involved is really thought. Corey is actually getting.
And I didn't mention Corey, but he really was involved
Yeah,
also.
Corey is
Really
the
Kirkland.
director of the health department.
Yeah.
We're getting a 4-room unit, but he's actually buying, I think, two 2-room units for the health department to serve the region. That's how excited about the thing he is. So we think it'll be a really good thing, and all the mayors that were participated were excited about it. So I think that's going to be a really positive thing for the community.
The other side of the money, like I said, y'all will be getting the 400,000. That obviously won't take the full 400,000. So another project that has been discussed and that we're considering is building an emergency management services building that will, and it's not going to be a huge building. I think we talked about maybe 4,500 square feet, something like that. 4,000, that will store PPE supplies and also can be a place to store this vehicle, this mobile unit, where obviously it won't be in the weather. But the biggest thing is to store the PPE supplies. That's the other resolution that you'll be looking at. I'll talk about that one also, just knowing they're 2 separate resolutions. The cost estimate that we have right now for that is $180,000. Obviously, it's just a cost estimate. In looking at prices, we're thinking from the mobile unit, there'll be about $100,000 left. $100,000 that can go toward construction of that building. So that leaves approximately $80,000. That's the other resolution that the commission would have to commit to provide that additional funding on top of the $100,000. Now, ADECA has said that any money that's left over from this program, that other counties say maybe aren't gonna use all of it, they then will disperse the rest of that money to the counties that have projects where they may need more money, such as this, your extra 80,000. Knowing you might not get it, but knowing if you don't commit to it, then you won't get it because they'll say, hey, Houston County doesn't need any more money. So this is a way to let them know in writing that if there is funds left, there are funds still available, that the county would like that money. So that's another reason for making sure we pass the resolution.
Yeah, basically what we're doing here, if you all have been, I don't know how many you have been out at the farm center, the big building that we typically use for the employee function in the farm city, it is full of this stuff because that's the only place we have. We've got, we've talked off and on about finding a location for this. This opportunity just kind of dropped in our lap at our last meeting, and we said, hey, if we can get $100,000 plus, Road and Bridge can level the ground and build a pad that'll be part of the in-kind work. And we're talking about putting this building out there kind of between Road and Bridge and the volunteer fire. There's a little plot of land there. We're looking at a 4,000 square foot building. We just think it'd be a good opportunity to go ahead and address that need, get that stuff out of that building at the farm center for a lot of reasons, and have somebody else pay for most of it. So, again, this would just became a really good idea we thought. So that's what it is. We hope the building doesn't cost 180. That was just an estimate from somebody. It has to be bid because of the
You still have to follow all your bid laws, small purchase procedure, all that kind of stuff. All that still has to be followed.
So in essence, out of this grant, we would get the mobile unit and a building for PPE or some in-kind work and extend maybe unless we get the extra money, then we wouldn't have any cost.
That's right.
And both of these, by the way, would obviously be qualified for the $20 million. So
Very
we
true.
would have. Any questions for Emily about this? Again, this is just so strange that all this money. Well, I mean,
Yes. And we did have to have a public hearing. We had a public hearing. We had, we had to follow all those same processes with the block grant money and all that's been done. So.
yes, sir, Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Emily.
Yes, sir.
On the resolution for the 180,000, that 80,000 expenditure that's for the construction of that storage building, that's pretty much what you feel like it will take to build that building, and it would be climate controlled. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Part of it.
That's correct. Part of it that would have like the supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No additional.
what we got the estimate on, just so you know, was a 40 by 100 building. They said that's, you're using standard, I don't know, joists or standard things as opposed to some odd size building will keep the cost down. And we got, I think, 3,000 square foot of it conditioned, 2 roll-up doors, 1 little bathroom. Obviously the conditioned area will have to have insulation, lighting, just concrete floor, general building, nothing, no offices or anything like that. So it just went out to a metal building folks, just got an estimate to have to submit for the grant. So we hope it comes in a lot less than that, particularly with the work.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well,
Other questions or comments? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's one comment, Chairman. I'm blown away by the amount of money keep going out there. I know one thing that I keep hearing about in the news, and I know it's not anything that we necessarily have control over, but just comment. A lot of the minority communities are those that are most impacted by this disease, and also a lot of times the most least likely to have the transportation to get to a vaccination clinic. So I think this ban, whatever you want to call it, is a great thing, especially for that community. Thankful that we're able to issues.
And I will say that this grant actually started, or allocation started, that it had to benefit low to moderate income. And they have adjusted that some because it became such a task to have something that just benefited. So really, when we initially did it, and the reason for the mobile unit was to benefit lower income and even senior adults. So you really did, the county and all the mayors stayed in that line of thought the entire time. So it really was a really good process, and everybody immediately agreed, like you said, that those were the populations that needed the most help, and that's who the county and the mayors wanted to reach out to.
It was a pretty unified
Yeah,
discussion that we needed to
absolutely.
reach out to those folks and that we needed to try to take it to the public.
Right.
There's just a bunch of folks that just can't get to the medical center or Flowers or I'm doing it bad.
And are even just scared to get out.
Yeah,
So if you
that's
had
right.
something where they could just come right there to their town and then go back home, everybody worked great in the
Yeah,
process.
I mean, we're thinking, when you pull, and I've got if y'all don't mind me, I'll send you a flyer on,
Yeah.
on the thing. We're thinking pull up to the Columbia Senior Center and.
Our neighborhoods,
Yeah.
just some,
So,
city halls, town halls.
you have to coordinate.
Yeah.
The two shots, or we're hoping that Johnson comes out, you don't have to do the two. This would be a great thing for the one shot deal. But we felt like Corey, the health department was the one to monitor that. We didn't need to be in the shot business and whatnot. So he worked real well with us and agreed to handle it all. So it's a really good joint project. So anyway, any other questions? The objections, put items 4 and 5 on the agenda.
No objection.
All right, thank you.
We'll
Have a
see
good
you
day.
Monday. Item number 6, request to adopt a resolution to amend the certificate of incorporation of the Houston County Water Authority. Mr. Russell Parrish, mighty formal.
Thank you.
I've known all of his life.
Good morning,
Let's see what
everyone.
you address us. Go ahead.
Yes,
Thank you.
my name is Russell Parrish. I represent the Houston County Water Authority. Also here's Danny McNeil, who's the chairman of the Water Authority. And we're coming to the commission to seek an amendment to the Water Authority Certificate of Incorporation to allow compensation of its board members at the statutory rate of $400 per meeting. As you know, the Code of Alabama requires that in order for the Water Authority to amend its Certificate of Incorporation, it must first adopt a resolution, then apply to the county commission, the governing body, and ask that you adopt a resolution determining that the statements in their application are true. And so the things, and they passed that resolution, and we've obviously submitted the application. The things in the application that we're asking you to determine are true are that Alabama Code 1188.6 allows for compensation if the certificate of incorporation provides it, that the board has many duties, including planning, supervising the staff, overseeing the financials and the budget, and overseeing projects. They only have 4 employees. There's no CEO, there's no HR department, there's no complaint department, and the board members have to fill those roles essentially. They take time away from their work or family affairs to attend the meetings. They serve as the liaisons to the customers. They listen to concerns and complaints. They bring those ideas back to the board to discuss. And the last thing that we're asking you to find as true is that the compensation will promote the public health, convenience, and welfare, and that will help attract others who might be willing to serve, promote economic diversity on the board, reward those who do serve, and promote good attendance and participation by them having come to the meetings to be able to get compensated. So Water Authority is not asking for any money from the county, and this compensation will not affect any rates in any way. They're on sound financial footing right now, and we don't know of any other water authority in the area that does not compensate its board members. So again, what we're asking the commission to do is to determine that the statements in our application are true and adopt a resolution that finds that so that we may record our certificate of amendment with the judge of probate and get compensation for the board members.
Got a couple of comments. We, just to give you all the history that we've been, this is like, I think, the 3rd time we've discussed this, and we've had some resistance before because we were funding, we were funding the authority, and so it was a little about us now paying where the funding, that is not the case now, and as you said, the authority has made significant strides and is doing much better fiscally. I think in the past, both times, the commission was in favor of the system board members, but I just think the purview of, let's give it your money and then y'all pay, because that just didn't apply to well, that's not the case now, so that's a good thing. The other thing is, this is not, we really don't have approval, disapproval. What we're doing, as you said, I just want to be sure everybody caught that, is we're just making judgment that what you submitted us is in fact true, like a judge.
Right, yeah, that's what the statute says, that you just have to find.
The other question that I have though is, we do not have, in fact, a resolution, do we? I mean, I have an application for resolution, but I don't see anything here that has our name on it.
That has your resolution. No, we haven't drafted that yet, but we can,
Yeah, we would
I can bring that to Monday's meeting.
Monday, yeah. I know Press has worked on this with you.
Right.
Right, so, I mean, Press has walked with us through this through the whole way, so he's signed off on it, but yeah, we would need the actual resolution that we're adopting. Because I don't see that.
Right, yeah, and I'll draft that and work with Press
You
on
could
getting
get
it drafted.
that to Jackie and she could email it to the commission today. You have it today?
Yes, sir.
That'd be okay with you all? But I don't see that.
Right, I wasn't aware if we had to draft it, but I definitely will. I'll get it to Ms. Jackie today.
All right.
Get Press's
Any
approval.
other questions or comments regarding this for Mr. Parrish? All right, any objections to adding this to the agenda? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jackie, if you will let me know when he accomplishes that task, so I won't have to call. Item number 7, request for a 30-foot wide electrical easement for Wiregrass Electric Cooperative on property owned by Houston County. This is at the property we have on P Market Road, I believe. It is used as a shooting range by the sheriff's department. And we're wanting to put some lighting down there, or they are. So for Wiregrass Electric to run the lighting, we need to give them an easement. We've met, Road Bridge has met with them out there, and you have the documentation, everything is good on this. We just need approval to give them the easement. Did I say all that right? Engineers, but both shaking their heads. Any questions regarding this? Or comments? Any objection to adding this to the agenda? Item number 8 is a request to award in place reflectorized thermoplastic pavement marking material bid, the lowest bidder meeting spec. Questions or comments? The objection to adding that to the agenda. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 9, request to enter into the next several items are all the same. We're going to run through them relatively quick, but if you have questions regarding them, they're all projects, construction projects. Paperwork that has to be done, correct?
Yes, so they're all complete.
And they're all complete, so don't object. We don't want to go back and uncomplete them at this point. Item number 9, request to enter into an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on Ben Ivy Road for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. Any objection to adding that to the agenda? Do y'all want Barkley to explain these at all, or just go through it? Okay. Item number 10, request to enter into an agreement with Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on County Road 95 for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. Any objection to that? Item number 11, request to enter into an agreement with Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on County Road 22 for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. Item number 12, request to enter into an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on South Park Avenue, site number 1, for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. Item number 13, request to enter into an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on South Park Avenue, site number 2, for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. Item number 14, request to enter into an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for reimbursement of construction costs on South Park Avenue, site number 3, for repairs made to damages incurred by Hurricane Sally. And y'all thought they weren't doing anything. All right. Anything else from the commission to be considered for the agenda? Or any discussion? All right.
Not anything needing action right at the time. I've noticed, I know Barbara's crew has been working hard, working a lot of overtime, but I've just noticed that it's taking longer to get things done. So I'm going to be closed for about 6 months, probably been closed for several more months. And I've heard complaints of people having a hard time getting driveway pipes installed, just the time lag and all. So I think that's something that we need to address probably coming up. Adequate staffing for work areas. I just wanted to make that comment. Just so we can think about it.
We have, what month is this? March, it's going to be April. We will begin the budget process pretty soon here, so we will have that opportunity. I don't think the $20 million will be able to be used for staff, but we will have that opportunity to address those needs, and I would agree with. There's just been a lot. I mean, and you know, you just heard us read through all those projects that they've been working on. You know, we've had hurricanes, we've had all this, whatever our money that we get from the state project, you know, we did the bond issue, do all that work. So they have been taxed. So that is a worthy discussion to have. Other comments? All right, then we will see all of you. No, we got no, thank you for that. We got no emails for comments today. So that is the last time I'll have to say that. Hopefully. So we will see all of you soon on Monday morning, and have a good week. Yeah, if I get it, man, but I wouldn't have to. Okay, that, you know what, that is actually a question I meant to ask. Not about that, but about the same. Yeah. Why don't we go back to normal? Do we want to keep doing the same? It's not that big a hassle, but it's, I really, I think they should.
He does.